Hello to those that are just joining the session and are currently in the room. We are going to give it about another minute or so before we get started, as I see there are a handful of folks who are still just getting settled. So please go grab a cup of your favorite afternoon or morning drink, depending on which time zone you're in, and we'll go ahead and get started here soon. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started here in about another 30 to 45 seconds. So hang tight and we will kick things off here very shortly.
Hello, everyone. My name is Randy Bidding. We are glad you have joined us today to be a part of a discussion that is focused on helping us all better understand the implications of artificial intelligence on the services and support provided by career centers and career services to students, employers, and alumni. Today's session is going to be recorded, so each of you will receive a link of the recording tomorrow. Also, if you have any questions during today's webinar and Tech Talk, go ahead and find the Q&A section and button on the Big Marker platform we're using today, and go ahead and type your questions there, and we hope to get to those if we have time at the end of today's session. So before I introduce the panelists, I want to thank our presenting sponsor, 1220, and welcome the founder and CEO of 1220, Kenny Berlin, who is also
Hey guys.
One second, Kenny. I was just going to add, I know you're thinking a lot about this topic in much detail, and the responsibility the company has to helping career centers really remain at the forefront of technology advancements. So I'm going to go ahead and welcome you officially, Kenny. Take it away.
Thanks, Randy. No, I really appreciate it, and I'm really excited to see everybody today and be a part of this. I love this topic. Not even just this topic, but just talking technology and career centers. My favorite thing in the entire world to do is to visit schools and kind of talk to them. And, I always joke that the question I ask people all the time is, where do you think career center technology is going in 3 years? And we're doing an entire talk today about basically all of that. And the AI stuff is so cool. I'll be honest, I was a huge skeptic of AI. I think a couple of years ago, will this be something we actually implement? Will it not be something we implement? Is it going to be like driverless cars? Like maybe it's something we know will come, but in 20 years from now, this is real. AI is coming. It is amazing. Personally, I think it's the biggest technological leap we've had since probably mobile phones when everything went mobile. It's amazing. And it's not just the things you can do with AI, but the pace with which you can build, like the types of stuff that you could have coded, 2 years ago with engineers that might have taken 6 months. you can build in 10 minutes with AI, and it's unbelievable. And the things you can do, it's awesome. And we've totally leaned into that at 1220. Excited to hear all the things you guys have, and talk to everybody. I'm sure I'll see everybody at NACE in a few weeks, talk to you about some of the things we're doing here at 1220. But this is an awesome topic. Thank you so much for everyone coming today, and excited to listen and hear all the things you guys are doing.
Yeah, thank you, Kenny. We really appreciate 1220 being the presenting sponsors for today's Tech Talk, and the role that you're playing in bringing kind of these great minds together on this topic. Now, let's meet our panelists. And for many of you, these are likely familiar faces. Most people will agree, including the panelists, that becoming an AI expert is difficult, given the rapid changes of AI technologies and the new applications that are being identified really almost daily. However, we are excited by the panel that we have assembled for you, as each of them have spent a significant amount of time reviewing AI in their organizations and bring some unique perspective and insight that we know we can really prove to be highly valuable as you continue to think about your service and delivery in 2024 and 25. All right, so first I want to welcome Jenny Neff, Director of the Career Center at University of Illinois. Jenny, I know you've spent a lot of time thinking about AI, especially the impact on student engagement. Tell us a little bit more from the lens which you are looking at kind of this technology and AI.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to share my perspective today. I think my perspective starts with acknowledging and embracing the fact that students are using it, and they're using AI for a variety of purposes, including their own career development work. And so I think at this moment in time, our work as career services professionals is to help them determine how and when to use it in a way that's helpful and beneficial to them. In a way, I really think it is a powerful tool that can help them explore their options, prepare to be successful, and then pursue whatever success means to them. Right now, I'm certain students are using it for some of the transactional stuff that still happens in our office, and I think will continue to happen. But things like resume structure, things like that, no more need for a template, like just put it in and it spits out a resume. Questions around, well, what can I do with this major, or what are typical career paths? All of that stuff is embedded in the way that students are using AI. I think what's right around the corner is modeling professional conversations and networking. If you have the premium level of service that you're paying for, that's happening in a verbal way. And so I see that as the next frontier in how AI will continue to influence our work.
Really appreciate it, Jenny. I really appreciate your insight on that. And, as we go further in this conversation, I know you're going to have a lot to add, but I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next panelist. And before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the screen here so everyone can see the panelists for today's Tech Talk. But let me introduce our next panelist, other research university leader, Mariana Savoca. Mariana is the Associate Vice President of Career Readiness and Experiential Education and at Stony Brook. And Mariana, I understand that you are part of a statewide task force in New York about how AI may benefit the 64 campuses that are in your network, the SUNY network, or the State University of New York system. Tell us more.
Thanks so much, Randy, Kenny, and the team at 1220. All right, full disclosure, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. So to me, AI is representing all the coolest things that I've watched over so many years of my life come true. So I'm very excited. But for the purpose of this panel, here's what I want all of our career services folks to understand. And if you saw my title, you'll note that my role encompasses more than your traditional career services. It also encompasses experiential education. So I'm hoping that I can add something on the call so that all of you not can see the trees, but not just the trees, you can see the forest. And today I want to talk to you about the forest, which is the context of what's happening in bigger spaces on our campuses, and as Randy alluded to, in our systems, and why it's important for career services professionals to see the big picture so that we can plug into it. So I'll give you an example very quickly. I'll talk about the SUNY initiative, which I am super, super proud to be a part of. Last September, the system, all 64 campuses, convened a system-wide task force to examine all facets of artificial intelligence and the impact on the future of New York State. So this is bigger than even just the educational process. It's economic development, it's workforce, it's all the things. 9 months of work, hundreds and hundreds of faculty, staff, other student SUNY groups, New York labor, economic development entities, even corporations. Among our advisors were the CEOs of IBM and Girls Who Code. And what resulted from that were two big things. One is the establishment of something called the SUNY Inspire Center. Inspire as it relates to research and scholarship to put AI to work for the public good, right? So companies have a vested interest in profit, which is fine in our economy, but SUNY aims to create something that will increase educational opportunities for technical experts and incorporate AI education into a variety of disciplines that could result in industry recognized credentials or badges, certifications, and things like that. It's connected to federal legislation around the Chips and Sciences Act that's just driving semiconductor research and development. And it's connected to life sciences, biomedical. So you can see where we're going with this. It's super big picture. There's a $400 million public-private investment in the Inspire Center, and then the Empire AI Consortium that will have a physical location in Buffalo. The idea behind this, guys, and why Career Services needs to understand this is because we're the people that are going to help the students understand where the next moves are going to be economically and via the workforce. And we're going to help them be able to connect what they're learning into the opportunities that have still not been defined yet. Just as when I was an undergrad 1,000 years ago, there was no web for public use. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, Mariana. It's impressive that you're kind of navigating the state of New York, because I know they were the first, I believe, state to kind of introduce some legislation and laws around kind of auditing and really taking a look at the technology we use for HR tech and ed tech. So some great insight, and I appreciate you sharing that. So I'm also excited that we have two employer partners on today's panel who are going to also have a unique perspective as to share as it relates to talent acquisition, sourcing, recruitment, and assessment. The first is Megan Geltz. Megan, I'm especially intrigued how you see AI helping your talent acquisition team at EY, really to, quote, focus on the moments that matter. Can you share more about this work and how it may impact college level recruiting and hiring?
Yeah, thanks so much, Randy. And really, with the rapid growth and availability of AI, we're really focused on a strategic shift from people executing processes presented with data using technology to really shifting to technology powered by data, executing processes, and managed by people. So this shift will reduce the amount of time that our talent acquisition team needs to dedicate to executing processes throughout the recruiting lifecycle, which will really allow our team to spend more time working with our business as strategic advisors and coaching candidates throughout the process. Even with the best technology, recruiting is still relationship driven, and AI will not take the place of the meaningful human connections.
Appreciate that, Megan. EY has always been on the forefront of technology integration, and we're glad that you're with us today. Especially kind of the insight around kind of your organization and how you're leveraging AI. Our last panelist is Will Murphy, Head of Talent and Culture within R&D at Amgen in California. Will, I understand that you've been spending the last several months running some large-scale experiments that really leverage AI. What have you discovered, and especially as it relates to early career talent hiring and development?
Yeah, thanks, Randy, for the intro, and just want to reflect on Megan's comment. I couldn't agree more about taking, some of the process and administrative burden out by implementing these new innovative technologies, and that's exactly where we've been positioning ourselves here at Amgen. And the fact that I sit in the R&D organization plays a tremendous value because we have our saying of think like a scientist. So the way that we're experimenting with AI is exactly as a scientist experiment with molecules, pushing them through our pipeline. So we've discovered a few things that can enhance the candidate experience in this space. First and foremost, I'll just share some tangible examples that we've implemented. We implemented an externally facing AI chatbot that we named Gene, which is a play on the name of our organization. Amgen stands for Applied Molecular Genetics. So our chatbot is Gene. And this chatbot gives our candidates immediate relevant information and transparency about our roles that are available. It gives them an opportunity to have a conversation with the bot to understand whether their skills are a viable fit and for which opportunities, to help them better whittle down which opportunities they may be interested in applying to. And then it also gives them direct transparency into where they are in the interview process, integrated with our applicant tracking system, so that they're able to immediately reach out and understand, are they at the hiring manager phase? Are they in the interview phase? And what feedback has been captured on them. So there's a little bit more of an equitable playing field, as oftentimes our recruiters aren't regularly communicating frequently exactly where people are in the process, and that gives candidates anxiety. And so we look to really focus on the candidate experience in that regard. One other piece I'll just quickly mention is that our recruiters and our hiring managers are now experimenting with Microsoft Copilot. So Microsoft Copilot is an application that integrates with all of our Microsoft apps. So for an example, we can pull up multiple resumes in Microsoft Word and then use prompts in the Copilot, for example, asking, compare these resumes to other candidates and provide us with a recommendation on which is the best fit for this specific job description or role. And that's helping our recruiters and hiring managers work much quicker and much smarter, especially in a world where we average over 500 applicants per job posting. So we believe that by using AI, we can create a fairer and more equitable process, although we do recognize that there are some bias and ethical implications that we need to be mindful of. And that's why we have our employment law group heavily attached to all of these experiments that we're running. And then lastly, on the development side, my team has recently experimented with AI-driven mentorship and coaching for early career professionals. So this is using algorithms that are effectively matching new hires and new early career folks with mentors and coaches inside the organization. And what we're finding in our early findings here is that this is taking some of that awkward discomfort of organically finding a mentor or coach out of the equation. As we know that sometimes early career professionals who can be shy, they can be timid, they can experience imposter syndrome. And so through this automated AI matching that notifies people that they've been matched to somebody, it builds their confidence and uses that automation to help them find a social network of support early on in their career, which can be challenging at their first start.
Thank you, Will. We really appreciate you sharing these key findings and also being a part of today's panel. Now I want to go back to Jenny and Mariano for a second and ask them both, when we think about all the applications of AI and helping review and improve student resumes, CVs, approve job postings, improve marketing and communications, help students quickly see gaps in their career development or career readiness specific to their career interests. What is the one area that you see the greatest impact for your stakeholders in 2024-25?
All right. I'll take a stab first, and I'll be honest, I couldn't get it down to just one, but it's my thoughts are exactly what Megan and Will said. First of all, I think it provides reassurance and removal of doubt. So helping particularly students in that space to help them get started, as Will said, eliminate some awkwardness or the fear of the unknown. And then the second place, and when I think about stakeholders, that's also my team here at the Career Center at Illinois. It's efficiency in mundane and routine tasks. Mm-hmm. So a little bit how Megan and the team at EY are thinking about AI. So I think it's the same for everyone as we embark on using AI.
Okay, I don't want to repeat what was just said. So ditto to all of that. However, here's what I'll add. This is a scary time, and it's our job to make sure people are less afraid. People in general are afraid of change. and it's our obligation to help our teams, our students, our peers, our stakeholders understand that this change could be the most exciting change ever, that it will not replace them, that it will actually add so much value to their daily lives, and we will figure out how that's exactly going to work together. I've spent a lot of time in the last several months talking people off the ledge, so to speak. Like, let's not be worried about this. Let's embrace and envision what we could do. Like, you made a joke earlier about self-driving cars. Like, think about what else I could be doing if I didn't have to sit there gripped to the wheel, right?
Thank you both. It's excellent foresight, and I'm going to come back to both of you in a couple of minutes because we're going to talk about, and I'm going to ask you about who's responsible for ensuring you achieve kind of the impact that you seek, and for these scary technologies, as Mariana mentioned. But first, I want to also ask Will and Megan a similar question. What is the one thing you can expect or anticipate AI changing that will streamline the ability to recruit really the early career talent that you are seeking at your organizations?
Megan, you want to go first here?
Sure. Thanks so much, Will. So I think that when we think about leveraging technology to do processes that were previously done by people, we have a great opportunity to modernize the way that jobs are collated by career services and presented to students around the globe. Today, there's a lot of manual work that is spent posting jobs at different universities using different technologies and having to go through the same process again and again when all of the jobs are already available on the career site, on the employer website. And so would love to see some advancement and modernization in that area.
Yeah, and thanks, Megan. On my side, I'll try to keep this relatively brief, but I could nerd out on it all day. I think that AI-powered platforms, from our efficiency as well as our impact on being able to recruit early career professionals, again, removing a lot of the transactional manual processes out of the equation. What we want to do, what we aspire for, is analyzing a full comprehensive view of a candidate's profile. So this is their resume. It could be social media inputs. It could be their LinkedIn profile. It could be other, areas where they've demonstrated their capability on the internet in any shape or form. Just again, leveraging all of this relevant data and pulling that in using AI to evaluate skills, experiences, and potential culture fit. So we believe that by using these advanced algorithms and machine learning, these systems can first identify the best fit, right? By automatically ranking and shortlisting candidates who match our requirements and our company culture. 2, potentially even predicting success. So can we use predictive analytics in AI to determine which candidates are likely to perform well and stay longer in the role? And I think, we would work heavily with career centers to really understand what it is that they consider to be those predictive models for what leads to a thriving early career professional in the early days of their career. And then also to be able to highlight potential and recognizing what skills are transferable and how we identify and categorize potential in candidates that might not be immediately obvious through traditional resume screening. And so, this derives a handful of benefits, from efficiency and the way we spend our time, to accuracy in the way that we identify the right talent, and to bias reduction, because we're minimizing unconscious bias by focusing on inputs of objective criteria rather than subjective impressions of a human.
Great insight. I thank you both for being so candid and helping many leaders on this call understand kind of the employer, especially the employer relations function, and how it may need to adapt to continue delivering services and strategic partnerships with you as employers. So I guess, does this mean you also expect some significant changes in application screening and on-campus recruiting, maybe beginning this fall? I would assume you also are predicting a surge in applications as a result of the AI tools, so that could be an issue, because there are a lot of platforms that allow students to even apply hundreds of times in an hour or two to these jobs. So tell me a little bit kind of what's happening on this fall, what changes you see around kind of applying for jobs, and as far as kind of reviewing high quality resumes and really kind of handling that surge in applications that some of us expect.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Will hit on some great things just in the last question, right? That they're doing, looking to do at Amgen to really streamline that candidate selection process. I would say that, you mentioned some of the great technology that's out there today, and it's our expectation that students are leveraging available technology to best present themselves as a candidate, right? That is something that we expect of all of our professionals, right, is to be able to leverage this emerging technology in order to really support them in their own personal productivity throughout the workday. And so that's something we expect of candidates as well. Once we get to the interview stage, the expectation is that no additional technology or support is used. And we need to clearly set this expectation with the candidates. I think there's also an opportunity for career services to help students understand the limitations where it is appropriate to use supplemental technology and AI, and where they really should be prepared to put themselves forward and not have any supporting technology, right? Such as at the interview stage when they're going through the process. So I think that we do expect to see an increase, and do expect that candidates are using this to really put their best foot forward.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that, Megan, I mean, I think it's actually putting the pressure on our recruiters and our hiring managers to be much more effective interviewers. And that's the implication for my team in helping to grow and develop our hiring managers, to figure out, how do you probe when a candidate may have scripted their answer using AI, right? They can go into ChatGPT free of charge right now, copy paste the job description, and prompt it to say, recommend some answers for potential questions that I might receive, oriented to or aligned to this particular company's values and this company's job description that I've now uploaded into GPT. So if it's scripting the interview for them, even if we're trying to set clear expectations that they should not be using that tech, I have no doubt students will still try to position themselves accordingly. So then again, it puts the responsibility on us to double click into their initial answer. right? And this has always been a reality for recruiters, is that it's that double click digging deeper that really gets to the core of an individual's capability and their experiences and their fit for a role. We've just got to be even more on top of it right now, because I can tell you we are absolutely already seeing a significant surge in the number of early career applications that we're getting for our roles. So yes, there's some really goodness in the efficiency component, but also a massive responsibility for us to adapt accordingly to ensure we're still selecting the right people for the job.
Wow, this is a lot of great info that should be helpful for our career coaches and advisors on today's call, and you know, as they help prepare students to compete for jobs, you know, with their employers of choice. Now back to Jenny and Mariana. You know, with all the important information you are gaining from your leadership and work, who specifically on your team has this responsibility for coordinating relevant changes in programming and evaluating new AI tools, and you know, and how it's impacting kind of student success?
I'll super go quick, but I have to respond, Will, to what you just said, and think, everybody, what a great opportunity to use virtual reality to train your recruiters differently, right? Simulations, responses, like, talk about power of VR to help Will's recruiters learn the different types of ways to do the interview process. So it's just so much fun. And to Randy's question, the answer is it's everybody's business, because all of us, especially when you think about the folks on the teams in career services or experiential education, I would say most of us aren't technical people. And it's so very important for all of us to understand what's happening, like just like data, right? When years ago, data was a thing that was only done by the math people, and now all of us understand how to do it. This is something that we all have to understand, because we have to make sure that all of those systems that are being programmed by people in these great companies are ethical, that they are not exhibiting biased decision making from the programmers, and that we all have to feel comfortable with our own limited knowledge, so that we can help students leverage, as you described earlier, Megan, but also we need to help our most vulnerable students understand that these are skills and these are tools that they themselves can also learn to leverage as well. I'll turn it over to Jenny.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say other than everyone in our team. I kind of chuckled when I saw the question coming, because I thought, well, who's responsible for determining how we're going to use the internet or how we're going to use Microsoft Office Suite? Like we all have to do this. The one caveat that I will add, and we just went through our annual goal planning process in the last week or so here. I do think it is responsibility of leadership to devote time to helping our staff and our teams think critically about when is it feasible, when is it appropriate, and when is it effective to use AI. And so that's part of our work as leaders, is how do we build that learning and that dedicated time into our semester or whatever it may be, to devoting time so that people can use the tools in a way that is beneficial.
Yeah, more great perspective and guidance. Thank you both. Now back to Megan and Will. You know, something that I spent years studying in a previous company was the skills that can't easily be replaced by AI. So there's a lot of talk around skills-based hiring and recruiting. You know, where do you see kind of AI playing a role in kind of improving your ability to do skills-based hiring?
Yeah, Megan, you mind if I jump in on this one quickly?
Go for it.
Well, thanks. So, you know, not to repeat myself, but I do think we're most looking forward to how we use AI for more advanced data analysis. So again, like, what does that look like in practice on the first side, which I've described, right? It's the ability to pull in that data from a wide range of data sources, to create a comprehensive profile of candidate skills But once those skills are assessed and inventoried, we can then do skill matching as we apply AI internally as well. So what does that look like? It means that we can parse out job descriptions into skills. We can leverage all of our already existing internal role competency models, right? Core skills, strategic skills, personal skills, interpersonal skills, all of it, and inventory those as well. And then use these AI algorithms to match the candidate with the role profile in a much more rapid and accurate way. And then we've also entertained the idea of implementing AI-enabled skill assessments as part of our screening process, but that's something we're still evaluating the implications, because we do want to be mindful of the early career candidate experience. And, of course, we're a little bit fearful of institutionalizing an additional step in the process that potentially screens out candidates who have an easier application process elsewhere. But again, we do see value in potentially experimenting with some of these AI skill assessments. So to be determined if we pursue that path.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great, Will. And just to piggyback on that, and also go back to a comment that Jenny made, I think that, Jenny, you talk about needing to really dedicate time to teach and empower and really get our teams comfortable, or your teams comfortable with, with using AI and using the tools that are available. And that's exactly what's going on in the corporate environment too, right? There's a lot of focus and a lot of initiatives that are taking place to really make sure that people can get comfortable. I think the most recent stat I saw was that, there's 27% of folks that in the corporate world that are using Gen AI and are taking advantage of it. And there's 73% that are nervous and scared to use it, right? So how do we really help to bring everyone on this journey, because it's not going away? On the question around skills-based recruiting, I think that, we do need to look at additional technology, and it's going to be so important for us to build beyond our core ATS, right? I talked about how it would be great for career centers and universities to really better enable jobs for their students instead of through legacy technology. And we're having to do the same thing. An ATS is not going to give you anything that is skills-based or support skills-based recruiting. So it really is adopting new technology to support that. And generative AI, as Will mentioned, can really infer skills based on the candidate's resume, CV. I think, Will, you talked about matching candidates to positions. I think we also see it as career development opportunities, right? As you continue to progress within the company, within the firm, that new opportunities can be made available based on your skills profile and based on the skills that are required for those roles, right? So I think it really opens up a much broader career playground, which is so critical, and something that I would really hope that our folks, our early careers candidates and our students that are coming out of colleges and university can really help to understand that it's not really a career ladder, but how do you really embrace the concept of a career playground where you can move around, you can get different experiences. There's lots of ways to learn and grow. And it's not just, one vertical axis that you're on. I think that the key for EY with generative AI is that we're really looking to use it to help us prioritize applicants, help us better understand skills, but are really committed to having all of our decisions be made by humans, right? And when we opened up, Randy, you made a comment about New York and the New York City local law 144 that that's regulating some selection and hiring technology. And and we feel strongly that we do want to make sure that there are humans making those key decisions throughout the process.
Yeah, thank you both for kind of walking us through kind of how AI could improve competency-based recruiting and some of the things you're trying out. I do like the career playground, Megan. It sounds a lot less scary than a career ladder. So Jenny and Mariana, this goes back to you. It has to be exciting for you to hear all of this, and what likely changes in how are you going to implement, and how you advise students to better compete for open roles, knowing all of some, I guess some of the insights that we heard today around AI?
Well, I'll jump in and let me first say, I cannot wait for a day when we don't have to manage a job board here at the Career Center. Like, I am so ready to be done with that work, right? I do see a day when the application, if you will, is all handled and automated by technology. I think that makes our work more important to help students understand their purpose, their why, how they're going to make meaning out of all of these opportunities. And their choice will change from what jobs do I want to apply to what interviews do I want to take, because that's where the rubber will hit the road, particularly as I hear Will and Megan talk about really probing the human aspect that comes with all of the skills and the credentials and whatnot. So it's about meaning, purpose, and alignment of values. And I think in some ways, the work in career centers will get to be maybe in some ways even more personal, more one-on-one, because that's where students are going to need support in figuring that out.
Wow, that was so good. How do I add to that? I will just say that if we go back to the forest, we need to start thinking about how we take this knowledge that we're learning from really impressive companies like EY and Amgen, bring it to the faculty, and help the professors figure out ways to infuse AI and VR in ways that can help students have experiences that will be preparatory for these kinds of things. So experiential education is experience connected to curriculum that's part of the learning. It's not just this fancy extra that they do because they visit an office. And in that respect, we need to think through, how do we marshal all of the people in our ecosystem, the companies on this call, companies that are hosting our call, our peers, our systems, our governments, and how do we take all of that so we can move people along faster, right? I started this whole thing by saying people have a hard time with change. And in this respect, right, universities are the keepers of tradition. We need to move ourselves faster to change so that we can leverage those tools to help students acquire the experiences that will make their resumes come forward to the guys on the call. That would be my personal passion, along with all of the things Jenny said earlier.
Well, we only have about 5 minutes remaining, and I believe we've received some questions. So let's see here. Not sure if there's anyone on board that can help with any.
I'm seeing a question in the Q&A.
Go ahead, Megan, if you want to answer that.
Sure. So the question is really, how do we best teach students to know when the technology is most appropriate to use and when it's more important for the students to represent themselves as authentic humans? And I think that it really is, that if you're, it's a great tool to help you build your resume, to help you research career opportunities, to help you practice interviewing and things like that, right? But then when you do go in and you are meeting with folks, whether it's in a virtual environment or face to face, that you really are presenting yourself, right? That's what we're asking for, and that's what we're looking for.
I will just add to that. I don't think it's an either or. I think it's use of the technology and then teaching students to ask themselves, is this really who I am? Is this correct? Are these the words that I would use to describe my skill set, my interest in the job? I'm reading performance evaluations from my teams right now, and I see some words that I've never heard come out of their mouths. And so, I mean, I think it's a gut check. Like, is this who I am? Are these the words I would use? Is what the machine is producing actually representative of me as a human being?
And I think that's so important. I mean, one of the things that EY's message to all of our professionals is that what you get out of, we have EYQ, which is a private version of GPT, right? But really message to all of our professionals that you need to review whatever comes out of it. And so it is not just take this, copy paste and you're done. It is really, really putting your lens on it and reviewing it and editing it before it's finalized. So that's a great point, Jenny.
All right, so we have one, we're going to sneak in one last question. I know we can, there's no doubt we can spend all afternoon on this topic and we barely scratched the surface, but I guess the second question was, what are some of the routine tasks that staff in your office have been able to replace with AI?
I'll jump in on this one. I've got a couple I'd love to share. So first, just in my core team, I'm an active advocate for my team using AI as a thought starter, a thought provoker. So I have a team of program and project managers primarily across the group. And it's helping them think about more structured approaches to managing and improving the operations of any program or practice or initiative under our remit. And then on a larger scale, for Amgen, given our focus and our mission is to deliver medications and to patients in severe need or areas of unmet need, in our regulatory space, when you think about the time that it takes to write an individual regulatory filing of a medication with the FDA, that can take hours upon hours for an individual. We've now automated the entirety of regulatory submissions. And that accelerates the speed of getting drugs into patient hands. Now, of course, it doesn't help with the way that the FDA manages the evaluation of those filings. But that said, it is rapidly accelerating our ability to crank those out. And now we're reallocating the time and effort of the individuals who are managing those filings to new skills that continue to keep them relevant and future oriented as the industry continues to evolve.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have left today. So I'm really hopeful that some of the participants on today's webinar and Tech Talk had an aha moment, at least one, that will be hopefully helpful as you think about your operational strategy and services for fall of 2024. It's also no coincidence that we hosted today's Tech Talk the week before NACE. It's my 21st year going to NACE, and it's a really exciting year because there are a lot of these conversations. There's a lot of unknown, but there's a lot of great technology and things that will help with your operational strategies and services with students and student success. So as far as again, we thank Kenny and 1220 for sponsoring today's Tech Talk. A huge shout out to our panelists today. Everyone was great and had a lot of great insights. So I hope everyone enjoys the rest of your day, and hopefully we'll run into each other next week at NACE if you're going to be attending. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great talk.